Well, it is summertime in Texas. Let me show you what I'm doing to keep my chickens cool. I've got a little mister head here, a little sprayer. And this is a little bit more of a coarse mist than just the fine mist that you see in some misting situations. And I'll tell you why I did it, why I use that in just a second. I've got a main trunk 1/2-inch line down there. Right there. I have tapped into it with a 1/4 inch. Just right there, you punch a hole in it. The 1/4 inch comes up this way, up to here. And then in the in line, I have put a shutoff valve. So I can turn it on. Let them enjoy the spray. And this, again, I used a different kind of nozzle. I'll tell you why, a second reason why in just a second. It just makes a nice fan out here because you can see that it's going in a nice fan. Now this particular head you can change. That is like almost a 180. And you can flip it around and put it on this one, and I believe it's a 45. I believe it changes. You can take that pink thing out, flip it around, or orange. And one of the reasons I did, now, before I say that, it would be better if the mister was overhead. I mean, like up here, you know, maybe stretch it across here, drop down, and have a couple of misters overhead. True misters that put out a mist like you'd see in a restaurant patio or something like that, or something you may have on your patio that keeps you cool, would be, I'm getting the camera wet right now, would be better. But I just didn't, I don't, you know, this is where my hose was. I didn't want to come up here, didn't want to run something down, so I did it this way. Now I've got this on the north side. In the summertime, most of the wind is if we get any wind at all, it's a southern, the prevailing wind would be a southern wind. So I really should have it on that side right there, on that post, and a southern wind would blow it this way. Right now, I'm standing toward the north, and the wind is coming at me because we got just a little bit of an eastern or southeastern wind. But that's one of the reasons I used a coarser spray, is that even if the wind is, you've got a slight breeze, the fact that it's a coarser spray is going to take it out and drop it down. If it was just a real fine mist, then it's, you know, if you have any wind at all, any breeze at all, it's gonna blow it back, blow it away from where you want to direct it. So that's why I use this. And again, you can kind of see what it's doing there and how it's fanning out. And I just now turned it on, but after a while you'll see a dark area here where it's wet the ground down. Now what they love to do, and I do this for them every day in the summer, I'll come out here and just take the hose and wet down the ground, and they'll just come. That's where they'll camp. I mean, in fact they sit here waiting on me because this is a shady spot anyway. We've got a lot of shade, but they'll come up here because they know that's where I'm going to wet down. And they'll just sit, and once I get it wet down, they'll just sit there and camp out because they love the cool ground. This, you know, chickens aren't real crazy about getting wet. You've heard the old expression, "Madder than an old wet hen." You know, they will go out, and if they're hungry and it's raining, they'll get out in the rain. It's not something they won't do, but if I'm spraying the ground down, if there's any splatter, or if I've got a pretty coarse spray, they don't want to get in it. They'll take off running until I get through, and then they'll come back and just really lay down there and have a big time. So, but this right here, this mist, they don't mind getting under too much. So it's what I'm doing, and it has worked well for me. I think I'm keeping them cool. Again, the wind is kind of blowing it, as you can see. The wind is blowing it away from the chickens. That's why it's a coarser spray, because with the coarser spray, I am getting it out there and they can get some of it. And if at all possible, put it in a shady spot. If you don't have shade, then they'll just have to, if you don't have shade, they're going to enjoy that mist even more than mine are. But they'll love you for it. Mist your chickens. This works for any livestock. You can use this on if you had a sheep pen or something like that, and you saw that the sheep were kind of stressed in the heat. Some kind of mister would be great. They don't like to get wet either, but they will whenever they if they see something like this, because it's really not getting them wet. You're not spraying them down with water. It's just a cool mist. You know what I'm talking about. Now, another reason I've got ahead with the coarser spray is I'm on well water, and I don't have a on this line. I don't have a filter. So a true mister, something that really puts out a fine aerosol, almost mist, I can stop up with the well water pretty easy. Even if I have a filter on it, the hole is so tiny that boy, you get a grain of sand in there and it'll stop it up. I like this little mister. I'll put a link below the video to the 1/2-inch poly pipe, the barbs that you'd need to stick in there, and then the little shut-off valve and the misting head. If I can find one like these, I'll put a link to that. If not, you know, just try whatever. Misting heads are pretty cheap. Just try several and see which one you like. And overhead would be better. Again, if you've got a way to hang it overhead and put a couple of misters out there that would just mist in a downward direction, then whichever way the wind's coming, it's still going to cover your pen. So you know, you just have to kind of take into consideration your prevailing wind, because you can see right now the wind has picked up a little bit and it's blowing the mist, the real tiny mist particles that way, but the big stuff is still going out in the pen. Okay, so in fact I can feel it. I can feel it right here on my hand. It's coming this far. It's coming out like this, and then the wind's catching it and bringing it over here. So anyway, I've said a lot to say that. Mist your chickens. Mist your livestock, not just chickens, but if you have sheep or goats and they're in a pen, they're in a holding area, they're not just out in the pasture, you might want to do something for them like this. This uses very little water, probably, I don't know, a gallon every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. I mean, very little water. So take care of your livestock. That's what we're supposed to do. And this is one way to do it. You can see the ground kind of darkening there where the mist is hitting. And they'll be over here in a minute. Right now they're kind of scared of me in the camera, but they'll be over here in just a second and camp out over here in this cool, wet area. Take care of your livestock. It's hot, it's summer, and this is a good way to do it. All right, we're gone.